Hi everyone and welcome to Spotlight. Today in studio we have Clive and Ndivuo from WESTSTUDIOGAMES. WESTSTUDIOGAMES is an indie game development company and they are well known for their AAA games that they've developed over the years. How did you guys get together and how did you start out?
Well, we started out in high school. We're fortunate enough that we met up in high school, same high school, prior to Alphen Park. We first started out, it was me and Tato. It was first in grade 9 because we enjoyed playing games and we actually wanted to make a proudly South African game. So then we decided, okay, let's try it out. How hard could it be, you know? But then we found out that, yeah, it was more work than we ever expected. In grade 9, we didn't produce anything. It was just learning and learning and learning, trial and failure, trial and failure. We actually started out like properly in grade 10 when Ndivuo and SPOTLiGHT started joining in on the team. Our first game we created was Rolling Ball Zero. That was the first game we actually published. And I think by the moment we published it, that's when Ndivuo started joining in. What we realized is that me and Tato were good at actually programming and designing the game. But then we couldn't find out other things like how to publish. We couldn't find out like where to publish on Google Play, on iOS, how do you get it on console. But then luckily we have our friends to help out on the business side. And then they guys started guiding us, okay, guys, this is how you do it, this is how you go about it. Because what we found is that we are good on the creative side, but then he and SPOTLiGHT were actually good on the business side. So they're able to help out, okay, this is how we go about it and this is how we produce it. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So then in grade 10 we launched the first game, and then from there it's been smooth sailing, I could say, now and then. But then so far we have about 7 games published, and then 3 games we're busy working on currently.
Yeah. I mean, as Clive was saying, when I came in grade 9, I think it was about 2013, 14,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
This is about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
So when I came in, and then I was like, okay, guys, how do you make money from this thing? And obviously nobody had an idea of how to make money, and I said, okay, cool. So let's start learning in terms of how to develop our business, the business model function, and be able to not just have the passion to make games, but be able to essentially running a business. So you want to make some capital as well. So I think at the time I came up with this idea, and I said, okay, look, let's sell 0.1% of the company for $50.
All right.
To anyone who has a 50 rand. And so perhaps let's just sell 10% of the company. So 0.1, and then you add that up. I think it calculated to was 5,000 or 50,000 at the time. Somewhere there, and so we started saving for Rage Expo. That's how we started going to Rage Expo, and that helped us in that every time we launched a game and you went to Rage Expo, you would get a lot of traction on your games, and then you run advertising on the game, which it depends on how many downloads you get, your CPM, which would maybe be $3 per thousand downloads. And at first it was a little bit difficult because our marketing wasn't that top class, because you have to have a certain amount of capital and do aggressive marketing, and we were not that privileged at the time to have that kind of thing. But as time went, we started learning of new ways how to use social media, because there's digital marketing. We improved, but I still think we can do better. And I think the game we're working on now, Africa, the soccer game, will show that we've learned a lot through the past few years, and we're about to implement that in this current game.
I see. I saw a lot of Comic-Con stuff on your Facebook as well. Yeah. So you guys are constantly out there, and the world is definitely seeing you guys. Yeah. I see you've developed a couple of games now. We'll get to your latest one just now. But firstly, Zombie Apocalypse. Tell me a little bit more about that and how that came about.
NC Apocalypse.
All right.
Yes.
A and C.
Yes. A and C. Yes. very important. Yeah. So as the name is self-explanatory, it's ANC Apocalypse. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. It's quite visual, if I could say that. Yeah,
It's interesting.
it's interesting. So the whole concept around ANC Apocalypse, we're trying to send a positive message throughout South Africa and throughout the world of anybody who knows about South Africa, what's currently happening. The game was about trying to explain that yes, you know, we're going through tough times, we're going through tough administration, but then you can still have fun about it. You can still send a message through gaming, because I think that was one of the tough things, getting our parents on board, because you understand, we started in grade 9 and now we're trying to convince them, no, this is actually a good career for us. So now we had to show them, okay, gaming can also bring some positivity. You know, you can also send a positive message, not only about shooting people in the head. It's about also trying to explain that, yes, we're going through tough times, but live a little and actually try to experience something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. And I see here you have Last Primal and then Tap It.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Last Primal, it's a 2017 game, so that's a game we launched last year. And that we launched it on PC, on HIO, but we're looking to go on Steam later on this year. So as well as Tap It. Tap It has really been fun, the mobile game. I mean, we run it every year at Rage Expo, and I mean, people just enjoy the how you know, the energy behind the game. You know, because you just tap in the screen, and people love competing against each other. So you get a 2-player and a 1-player model on that game, and it has done well on mobile. Actually, it was quite surprising compared to all our other games. I think it's one of our best. I think it's 4.5 star.
Exactly.
Rated on Google Play.
I think it's very competitive. That's the game.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So immediately when someone gets a higher score, you feel like, no man, I can do better than that.
Awesome. That's a really cool one to have at Rage, yeah?
Because we want to create games that, I'm sorry about that, we want to create games that gets people energetic and excited about it, you know? Because you don't want a game like that just once a year, then you're done. You want to get a game that constantly playing it.
The crazy thing, it had a sexual pun to it. So at Rage would ask you, you know, how fast can you tap it?
Okay, I see. All right.
And so people would actually kind of like, oh, okay. So, you know, people want to get involved. I think we're giving away prizes.
Yeah. 1,000 rand to the highest score every single day.
See, you guys are doing great with your marketing now. I see.
Yeah, I think we've been learning. That's the privilege that we had, like grade 9. Since from there, each and every single year, it just gets better and better.
Right. So gaming is your passion. That's why you guys wake up in the morning. That's what you do every day. What's been your greatest challenges getting to this point?
I think personally, you know, I think for me personally, it's been the coding. Because, you know, getting access to the right information and actually, because we're trying to produce quality games. And I think the one disadvantage that we really had, that in high school, they taught us something that we really couldn't apply, if I could say that, because the engines we use, Unreal and Unity, we don't program in Delphi. So now we were forced that after school we'd have to meet up with people, that after school that we have to, I don't know, go to extra classes or have to go online learning the information that was needed for us to produce the games, because that's what essentially wanted to do. So now that was the biggest challenge, getting the information that we needed. That's why also he and Blakey helped a lot, because we also didn't have the information on how to run a gaming business, how to start, because we didn't know the business model, we didn't know how to sell, we didn't even know that people were advertising. We just thought, okay, you just produce a game, put it on store, and then you sell it, and then that's it. But then finding out that it's a total different ball game. I think that's the problem. That was the biggest challenge, just getting the information.
Yeah, I think on just to add on what he said, well, it's been the finding the business model of in gaming, how you make money from it, because a lot of times you launch a game or you make a game, and then you market it on social media, and then you wait for Rage to come up, because you know that all the gamers are going to be there, all the geeks are going to be there, and you know, your sales just skyrocket at that time. Then after Rage, you ask yourself, how do you find all those people? You know? So it's kind of like, how do you generate sales without having to go to expos, you know, every single time? How do you generate sales while you're sleeping? You know, how do you sell more internationally? And so I think with gaming, you have to be big online. your marketing has to be good. And I think that has been a big challenge, and it's what, as I've been saying, that it's what we've been learning to do better. Currently, we've been working with an agency to do that for us, and it's gonna pick up soon.
Awesome. I heard you mention Steam earlier as well.
Yes. Yes.
So how do you guys see that panning out in the future with online sales?
Yeah. So as I said, the challenge was in the past that we couldn't launch on Steam because of the screening process. It was a long screening process, about 3 months, and you had to get your game to a certain quality level before you launch. And so I think now we've developed to that point, but we still want to make them better so that by the time we launch on Steam, we're getting a good product out there, and you want to make a good first impression. So we're looking forward to it because we're gonna launch that in October. We're gonna get some of our games there in October. So we are looking forward to it, and we expect a very good feedback, from our target market.
Yeah, no, most definitely. There's a store in everyone's pocket, right?
True.
Definitely.
That's true.
Right. So this brand new game, tell me about this.
Africa.
Africa,
Yes.
right? So you said it has to do with soccer.
Yes,
Walk us through that.
it's a proudly South African soccer game.
Okay.
We wanted to create something different from FIFA and PES.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't know about PES, but yeah. Yes, we're trying to create something different. We're trying to create something that's proudly South African again. So the problem with FIFA is that they only have 2 major teams. That's South African. That's Chiefs and Pirates. So now with Africa, we wanted to include all the South African games and hopefully all the African games, like the CAF Cup. So now with Africa Cup, what we're trying to do is we're trying to revolutionize the gaming industry in that type of sense, if you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to also include, we're trying to include the VR scene that we were explaining a bit earlier. I think you also touched on that. But with Africa, what we're trying to do is we're trying to tell a South African theme. Because, we understand, like, also with the career mode in FIFA, it's a bit different. But with ours, we're trying to tell the African story about how people enter to the gaming world. I know, not like the football world, and then how they go through all the processes, like street football, you understand what I mean? Like street football, like with one pala, like those are the features that will be within the game.
That's very interesting. I heard you guys mention something earlier about you can sit in the crowd while you're watching the other players, like your buddies play against each other.
Yeah, I mean, Africa just makes me smile because it's people from overseas, when they look at Africa, I think what stands out is culture. Is that we have diversity and we have a very, very deep heritage, and we want to be able to portray that in a game format, and that's what Africa is about. So the music, the commentary that you're gonna get on the games. So it's not only English commentary, but you're getting your Pedi, your Zulu in there, and I mean, even on FIFA it hasn't been done yet, whereas Real Madrid is playing against Barca, it's still English commentary. I would expect maybe Spanish commentary to be included in there, and so us including that diversity in the game is what's going to stand out. Our South African skill is different from the one that's played overseas. So the songs, our music as well, including some of our music in the game. But as you said, what we're doing, what's revolutionary about the game is what you were talking about, including VR and esports, integrating the two. So this is basically threefold into one game. Whereas I'm playing with Clive, so I'm playing. It's a mobile game, so I'll be playing with Clive on so it's an esport game. I'm playing with Clive. It's a tournament, but you can't get to watch the game, So we want to include the fan. We want to have a fan experience in that you would use a VR gear, and with your own phone, you put the VR gear. You put the phone in the VR gear, and you are able to see our game as a fan. So you get the whole experience. It'll be like
within the stadium.
Yeah, watching soccer online, but you are actually there. So you get the whole experience of the sound, of the commentary, and other people sitting next to you, and you actually looking at this and how each tournament will get a different fan base. In terms of if it's an MTN tournament, it will get 100,000 fans, and the thing about it is it's unlimited. So I think the biggest capacity stadium at the moment in the world is about 110,000.
Somewhere there.
I think it's Wembley. I think it's Wembley at the moment. I think it's about 100 and something thousand. But with the VR experience, what you do is you could get as much as 1 million fans watching one game.
Imagine, and that's what makes this whole idea so brilliant.
Exactly.
Is the fact that everyone and anyone can tune
Yeah,
in and watch
yeah.
this, but also it gives, you know, everyone the ability to become, you know, a superstar and also, you know, build up their team so that they're, you know, one of the best. And I heard you mentioned Rage as well, and like when all the people dial in and they watch this game on the big screen,
Exactly.
it's just so effective in terms of, you know, marketing for that
Very
and
true.
also showcasing it to the world. So it's definitely not just you guys doing all this, right? There's a whole team behind the success. So just walk us through that as well, and who's involved, and how do you guys usually operate? Who does what?
So currently there's a team of 5 people, but we're also working with freelancers. So it's so we also I don't know if I should include them or not, but because there's a tight relationship. We've been working with them I think for the past 3 years now. Cool. So it's me, it's Clive, and obviously Chief. I usually deal with the coding, and sometimes I try to help in the marketing sector. So as Chief is explained, he works in the business side. He's the marketing head and is the chief operations officer. I think the problem right now is still a small team and it's still growing. So it's kind of many hats. You know, you have to double down in many sectors. Tato, he's the head of the creative. He's the creative director. He's the head of the, how can I say this, of the company currently.
Right.
Yeah. So and then there's Blakey. He's the designer of it all. And then there's Dumi. He's the artist. And then we work with other freelancers like Dean and Sam, who also help out in the coding sector.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, they are more creative, you know, minded than I am. Obviously, I contribute in terms of ideas, you know, what we need to change. I'm very hard on them in terms of quality.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because I'm concerned about getting a good product out there. So once it's out there, then we know we are able to sell. So I'm more business minded, and then they focus on the creative side.
Talking about good products, what would you guys say? What does it take to develop a good game in today's time?
A lot of coffee.
Make a note.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But honestly speaking, I think it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of skill, honestly. I think that's the major thing. As I've been talking, the information, getting the right information and getting the right skill, like developing your skill over and over and over and over. Because we've been doing this for so many years, and I think we still have a lot to learn, because it's such a fast-paced industry that there's always something new. Engines are changing constantly, like programming languages are changing constantly. But I think it just takes a good team. I think it's a bit tough to explain what it takes to make a good game, because in the end, it's all about what the team has. I think we've been very fortunate enough to have a strong team, that we have a strong partner who's always hard on us to create good games, even though it takes a lot of sleepless nights, it takes a lot of 3 hours of coding constantly, then taking breaks. Yeah. But I think the main thing is having a good creative team. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very true, because from conceptualizing the idea, you have the idea, and then now you have to kind of then move to scripting. What's the story behind it? And you have to kind of visualize this as you're scripting, because you know the two are in sync, because you wanna have a good picture of the whole story. You want it not only to be good on paper, but once it's a game, once it's a full-on game, you want it to be a good concept that the user will have a good experience with. So as you said, it takes a lot of hard work, learning, good hardware as well. You have to have the right equipment, and I think it all comes back to learning, because I mean, if you're starting off, you have to know you need the right software, you have to learn how to use the software, and at the end of the day, the creative minds determine everything, because the way he codes won't be the same way as another person codes, or the way he designs is not the same way. And that's where you get your uniqueness, is how you do things.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do that on the creative side and both the business side. In that, as a brand, what do we represent, and in our creativity, how do we do it different? So we're always concerned about, breaking boundaries and standing out. Yeah.
Definitely, that's some really, really good advice there. So now, if you've made this killer game and it's done and you have it, where do you go with it? What do you do with it? What would you recommend as the best, next step to go into after you've developed a game?
Or putting the game out there.
Yeah.
So far, obviously, we've done online only. But with AfriCup, I think it's going to be huge, and we're trying to put it in stores. I think AfriCup will be the first game that will be in stores. That BT Games, you're going to have it. Musica, you're going to have it. But we're trying to move, because we understand that the entire gaming industry is moving online. So we're not going to have the actual disc there. You're going to have the code.
Okay.
So then you buy. You're just going to buy the cover and the code, and then you're just going to download the game online. But I think to get the game out there, obviously, we were talking about Steam. We talk about Edge. We're going to have the game on our own website, and we're going to try to push it out on each and every single platform where you can reach our audience. Yeah. Because the only concern we have currently is that some people don't have access to those things. So now we're trying to like go out in each and every single platform. Like, that's why we're also now pushing with BT Games. We have a strong relationship with a partnership we're building with them right now. So they'll be the ones that have the main game out. Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, once you're done with a concept, the first thing that comes to mind is the right partnerships. You have to know the right people, because you could have a concept. You could either have a concept and still need funding for you to develop that. So you also need to know who to approach, the right people to approach. Sometimes you might approach people with money, but people who are really not looking to invest in gaming. So you have to find the relevant...
Which is a big problem.
You have to find the relevant investors if you are looking for outside funding. But once the concept then is developed, then you have to look at things like distribution. Where do you distribute? What is your reach? And how are you going to make money from that? And how long is your game going to have? Because obviously there's always a point where the graph is going to go down. So you have to, so it has to be really calculated to say, in the next 6 months, this game has to be on top. And so this is the type of marketing that we should do for us to be able, and as he said, online is selling more than the hard copy.
Conventional
so
physical sales.
Exactly.
So for some of the parents out there, I know a lot of them think it's just, you sit there, you play games the whole day and it's just all a bunch of fun and no work. Now, is it just to give the message correctly to them, is it just about sitting there and playing a game?
No, not at all.
Right. So what does it take to become a success in the gaming industry today?
I think honestly, for me, what I've experienced is that it takes a lot of hard work. In terms of, because our problem is that our parents also told us the same thing. They wanted us to get the conventional career, maybe get a real job. You understand? Either become a lawyer, a doctor, or something like that.
But is it difficult to become a success in multimedia today? Would you rate?
I think it's not difficult. You just have to stand out. I think you have to be unique, and that's what we're trying to also do. Because I think there's a lot of people now who kind of recognize that this is something that's viable. But now there's a flock of people going there, and now everybody's trying to do the same thing. And I think the best thing is just to stay unique, just stay authentic. That's why with also our games, we're not trying to copy Europe or trying to copy America or trying to copy anyone else. We're trying to create proudly South African games that we can say that, yes, this is a South African game. You could see with the content from ANC Apocalypse to Rolling Ball Zero to Tap It. We're trying to create games that are truly unique to us and have our flavor, even with Africa, that show our diversity and where we stand.
Gaming is I would say gaming is a toddler in South Africa. It's growing, but it's still crawling. Eventually it will start working and learning to stand by itself, and it'll get to that level. and I think that's where, you know, the parents aren't really sure what's happening. You know, I think you're just playing around. But I mean, if you look at what's happening right now, there are a lot of institutions that are starting to offer gaming courses, game development courses, and that's a huge step, because if you can learn it, that means there's an industry that's available out there, and so I think it's the growth of businesses in the gaming space. It's what is going to have a huge contribution in the gaming industry. I would say to the parents that, I mean, if you look at a child right now, I think 4, 5, even 6-year-olds already able to interact with, you know, your tablets and that kind of thing, and you get educational games that are really helping out because you're having fun, you're integrating fun while learning, and so it's not just about playing games, but really there's a secret there when you can have fun and still play games. That's just on another level.
Righty, so if you guys could give any advice to future game developers, what would that be?
My advice is never give up. I think when we started off, it was uphill, seriously uphill. I'd say keep on pushing, keep on moving forward, because I think at some point it will get better. Trust me, it will. I've been there. We've all experienced it. Never give up.
I mean, I think I should maybe share a story with our viewers that when we were in 2016, we went around asking for donations. So every after school,
and this was matric.
Yeah, and so I think it was in February. We didn't know that Rage was going to Cape Town until February, and we thought, okay, guys, let's go, but we didn't have the funds. So we're like, okay, no, how do we get the funds? And we have to go in March. And so I think there was a bit of a delay, and then we decided, okay, look, let's go ask for donations. So every after school, 2 o'clock, we'd go out, we made a donations list and would go out to different companies, telling them who we are, and you know, we're going to Cape Town and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna showcase, you know, our games. And it was so hard. You get rejected sometimes, you know, and I think we made about 10,000 rands in a week,
Wow.
which was just enough for us to get to Cape Town.
But not come back.
Whatever it takes, man.
And we're like, okay, guys, what are we gonna do? We're like, okay, no, let's go. So we printed posters and everything, and we had to convince our parents that we had enough money to come back.
Yeah. So I feel if they watch this, then
I can imagine
that.
And we got to Cape Town. Mind you, we didn't even have accommodation.
Even transportation.
Like, you're like, okay, guys, we're sleeping in the car.
We took a bus.
We're like,
not even the car.
We took a bus.
Right.
We took a bus. We were trying to get a car. We couldn't get a car. We took a bus with all our posters and our computers and everything. We got on the bus. Luckily, it was empty.
Yeah.
We got, I think it was about 18 hours to get to Cape Town. We went to Cape Town, and then we were on our phones trying to find accommodation quickly. Luckily, we found accommodation at Willow Estate, if I'm not mistaken, which was close by, and we're exhibiting at Grand West Casino.
Yeah.
And every morning we decided, you know what, we're gonna take a taxi there with our everything.
Had to look for the taxi.
Yeah. Wake up in the morning and get there, and we made money through Tap It. And for those 3 days, we just made enough money to come back home. At least we were able to stay for 5 days, and it was a great success. So I think, as Clive is saying, don't give up. Take calculated risks, you know, and just go get it. I think pitch up, and once you're there, you know, everything just falls into place.
Right, so I think there's a lot of people out there that want to buy your games as well. How can they reach you?
Well, they could go like www.weststudiogames.com, or they could check our Facebook page, WESTSTUDIOGAMES, or they could check us on Twitter, on Instagram, or on LinkedIn. So basically all social media platforms. Yeah,
and they could check out our games on itch.io. So just type in itch.io. We have ANC Apocalypse and Last Primal that are available online for PC platform.
That's a wrap. Thank you very much, Ndibuo. Thank you very much, Clive. See you at our next episode, and as always, thanks for watching.